Alright, Shalom. Microphone on. You're on live in the game. All right, most high in Christ. All right, Shalom. This is Captain Parasha out of the I.S.U.P.K in the UK. For those of you that don't know, we do have a school in the UK. The address is 394 Lodge Road, postcode B18 5PW. So the school is in the city of Birmingham. You know what I mean? If you couldn't tell by the accent already, but you know what I mean? The school is in Birmingham. So in this school, we teach classes 4 times a week. So on the Monday, we have the history class done by Officer Karafia. We have the Brotherhood class done by Officer Shamgar. Then Wednesday, law class done by Officer Dumgabar. And then today is the scripture breakdown class done by myself, Captain Parasha. Then on Fridays, we have On the Ends Radio, powerful radio show, goes into everything that is relative and that is going on in the UK. The Warhead, Captain 13,000, Captain Mashatmayum, also on the end as well. So that's what we got going on. You can check us out on Facebook, I.S.U.P.K, United Kingdom. You can check us out on YouTube, I.S.U.P.K United Kingdom. You can check us out on Twitter, ISUPK_UK. You can check us out on a TikTok, ISUPK UK. No gaps, no spaces in between. ISUPK UK. And you can also check us out on a Google My Business. Again, ISUPK UK. Or on a search engine, you can type in ISUPK Lodge Road, and it will give you the directions via car, a train, or by foot if you don't live too far away. And also, it will have the schedule on there as well, and everything that we do. You know what I mean? Lectures and other previous things that we have done also as well. So with this being a scripture breakdown class, if anyone has any questions online or in the class, feel free to ask them. There's no, there's not a question that is dumb. There's not one that, we will not answer. You know what I mean? From as long as you're being honest and you want something answered, we will answer it for you. Okay? 1 second. Don't worry. Nobody's dead in there. All right, 1 second. Bear with me. Yeah, all done. So yeah, this being a scripture breakdown class, if there's anything you don't understand in the Bible, ask. If there's a scripture you specifically need broken down, ask. It's what scripture breakdown class is all about. But if you don't, then I have a subject that I will get into as well. So in today's class, we're gonna go into the death of the righteous, because a lot of people always ask me this: if someone is righteous, why would they die of something like cancer or of the coronavirus if they do? And in the Bible, that's not the a point of it. The point is how you die, but it's not what you die of. So we're gonna get into that in the Bible, and how even though a righteous man may find it hard now, he will be victorious in the end. And that is the emphasis of what the Bible is trying to let you know. The Bible ain't trying to let you know that if you serve the Lord, your life is going to be a walk in the park. If you serve the Lord, life is going to be so easy. But the point is, you serve the Lord, and guess what? You are the victor. You would win in either this life or your next life. And that is the point of what the Bible is trying to let you know. So if someone can give me Isaiah 57:1.
Isaiah 57, verse 1. Can you hear me, Slacky the one?
Yes, we can. Yeah, we can hear you.
The righteous perisheth, and no man layeth it to heart.
All right. So now, what is Isaiah talking about here? Meaning, a righteous man dies, and no one lays it to heart. Now, it's gonna explain why no one lays a righteous man's death to heart. Read on.
And merciful men are taken away, none considering that the righteous is taken away from the evil to come.
And there you go. So so now, not in every case, but some people that are righteous, when they die, it's because the Lord wants to take them away from the evil that is going to come, man. You know, so many people go, this man, he was righteous. Why is he dead? Well, you don't know the plan of the Lord. Neither do I. But with Isaiah, he understood that some righteous men die because the Lord wants to take them away from the evil that is about to come.
Slacky,
yeah.
Yeah. So because that sounds like, you know what I mean, we're gonna be going through some type of serious type of evil. For a brother to be taken out, not all brothers, like you said, but a brother to be laid to rest. Does that seem to me like we're gonna have some evil times coming upon us? Am I right in saying that?
Well, yes, because with Yahushua, he spoke about them days in the book of Matthew, about with them days, it would be like no time be afore. So yes, so some people the Lord does take. Read on.
He shall enter into peace.
Yeah.
They shall. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
They shall rest in their beds.
I want you to focus on that part. The righteous, when they die, they shall rest in their beds. That's why no one lays it too hard, man. Remember what it said in the verse up above. When the righteous dies, no one lays it to heart. You want to know why? Because a righteous man just dies in his bed, man. He dies at rest. But now, for those that ain't righteous, let's find out how their death is, man. Read on.
Each one walking in his uprightness. But draw near hither, ye sons of the sorceress, the seed of the adulterer and the whore.
So now the Lord, he's broken down how the righteous man's death is. Now he's going on to those that are not righteous, man. The seeds of the adulterers, the seeds of the sorcerers. So now he's saying, come here, man. Now you know how the righteous man's death is. Let's find out the death of those, and they choose not to serve the Lord. Read on.
Against whom do you sport yourselves? Against whom make ye a wide mouth and draw out the tongue?
there. So now the Lord's saying, like, who do you think you are, man? And how it was back then, it's like that now. While we do wrong, we believe we're so right, man. You know what I mean? Someone that's not in here, they're doing wrong, and you can't tell them that they're doing wrong, man. They're like, listen, I'm a child of God. God understands, man. You can't tell me nothing. And guess what? That gets the Lord angry, man. When you sport yourself against the Lord, when you flaunt yourself against the Lord, like, listen, I'm not doing nothing wrong, man. I got a rent to pay. This weed pays that rent bill, man. You ain't paying for it. Leave me alone, man. God understands, man. I got my relationship with God, man. Them things get the Lord angry. Reader.
Khan, are you not children of transgression, a seed of falsehood, inflaming yourselves with idols under every green tree, slaying children in the valleys, under the cliffs of the rocks?
And there we go, man. Just like how we are now, we was like that back then, man. We thought that, you know what I mean, the Lord was with us. Meanwhile, we're sacrificing unto idols, man. Just like now, we think the Lord is with us, and what we're in the mosque, in the church, in every religion out there, and God's saying, what? You know what I mean? You think I'm with you, and look, man, you're sacrificing under everything. Reader.
Khan, among the smooth stones of the stream is thy portion.
So now the Lord's saying, you know what? Those are places you love so much. That's where you're going to die, man. Your death is going to be there, man. And that's the difference between the death of a righteous person and the death of someone that is not, man. Do you know how unrighteous it is to, you know what I mean, just to die on the roadside? You know what I mean? A righteous man in Isaiah, he dies in his bed, man. You died upon where you was sacrificing unto some a false god. Do you know how unrighteous that is? That, you know what I mean, you're just laid out on the roadside somewhere, man. That is the difference between the righteous and the unrighteous.
That's right.
It's not saying that an unrighteous, it's not saying that a righteous man cannot die of certain things, but it's where he dies, man.
Right.
So now with the death, that's not the point where, you know, but he's a righteous man. It's how he dies. Meanwhile, for those that don't serve the Lord, they die into what they was in, man. You got people that died in the mosque, in the church, on the roadside, got shot in the head, man. That is unrighteous, man.
That's right.
The same thing that you love so much, that was the same thing that took your life, man. Reader.
So like the other one, if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
Does that kind of mean then every man in the I.S.U.P.K that die in their beds live the righteous life?
Well, we just read it right here, man. Even in the Bible, when it came to Jacob, how did he die? In his bed, man. And his sons all around him. So to die is not an issue at all, but it's how you die, man. That's why in the Bible, when so many people read life and a death, you know what I mean? With like the death that the Bible is talking about is how you die. Of course, we all have to die. Adam died, but it's how you die, which is the emphasis on what the Bible is making. Read on.
Khan. They are thy lot, even to them hast thou poured a drink offering. Thou hast offered a meat offering. Should I receive comfort in these?
So the Lord's saying any offering we give, you know what I mean? He doesn't receive any comfort in it. And guess what? Those are places where we died back then. It was those same places right there where we was doing wrong, man. We love those places so much. The Lord made sure that we died there, man. And just like now, man, a man loves the roadside. He loves selling his weed there. That's the same place he dies, man.
That's right.
Someone loves whores and escorts. He dies on that bed, man. You know what I mean? Something happens to him in that same place where he loves that wrong. Meanwhile, the righteous, he dies on his bed, man. It's like a situation.
And say like if you had a business, I'm not talking about myself, obviously I don't at the moment, but say like if you got a slave and you work on Saturdays, you can't out there. So if you still make, you still do, would you still basically continue your business on the Sabbath? Like will you continue to make stuff on the Sabbath?
No, because that is obviously for a business. So of course now, right, if you never heard it on the microphone, you know, I was asked to break down the buying and the selling on the Sabbath day. Now, a lot of people, you know, they read in the book of Exodus and they just direct it at themselves. And what you don't understand is in that law, that's talking to a manager, man. That's talking to someone who runs a business where you have the ability to make someone work on that day. It's not just individually talking to you, man. A manager has the ability to go, listen, I want you in work on that day. That law is directed at a specific group right there. And those are managers or those are people that would run a business. But we'll get to that. I'm going to just finish off in Isaiah and we'll get to that next. So just read on in the book of Isaiah.
Khan, upon a lofty and high mountain hast thou set thy bed.
And there you go, man. So now, how the righteous man dies in his bed, upon the rocks and the mountain have we set our bed. Meaning what? You're going to die on them rocks, man. You're going to die in those high places right there. And that's the difference between the death of the righteous and the unrighteous. Is that place you love so much, that place that is your God, that's where you're going to die. And let me tell you something, it is unrighteous. Right now, imagine this. You was living life and someone gets a gun and blows your head off, man. And remember this, your death is on a cold piece of the roadside, man. Your death is on just the roadside. That is a dishonorable death, man. And guess what? If you serve the Lord, you don't have to die like that, man. And that's why the Lord's saying, listen, those high places, that is your bed. Meaning that's where you're going to die if you don't serve the Lord, man.
Right.
Look at Captain Barky, man. See the man's woman, and the man killed him. Imagine like 10 years from now, you know, his son asked you, Mom, how did dad die? Like, well, you know, he's having sex with.
Oh, sorry. You want to say on the mic, just for the edification's sake.
Yeah, like that Jamaican artist, the Captain Barky, he was cheating with a man's woman, and the man came home and shot him. Like 10 years from now, his son's gonna ask his mom, like, how did dad die, man? She'll be like, oh, well, your dad was having sex with a woman he shouldn't have. The man came home and, you know, blew him away. You know what I mean? That's not a way to that's not a way to go out, man.
And to add on to that, you know what I mean? His idol was the bed, man, and having another man's wife, and that became his bed, man. Right. That's where he died, man. And that's life. Anything unrighteous that you love so much, the Lord will make sure that would be your death, man.
Cool.
You know what I mean? You love it so much, but you know what you can do? You can die with it, man. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that. We are reading it in the book of Isaiah, man. That's what the Lord's saying. Read on.
Khan. Even thither wentest thou up to offer sacrifice. Behind the doors also, and the post hast thou set up thy remembrance. For thou hast discovered thyself to another than me.
And there you go, man. When you serve another than the Lord, you can die with it, man. You love it more than the Lord, then you know what? You can die with that, man. You love weed selling more than obeying the Lord, you can die in that same a roadside where you love to sell it, man. And that's the difference between the death of the righteous and the unrighteous. So no one ain't saying that a righteous man will not die of a disease, a cancer, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? We are going to die, but it's how we die, man. You know what I mean? A righteous man dies on his bed. Someone who isn't, they just die on the roadside, man. They just die, you know what I mean, in a way that shows that that person wasn't right, man. Like the example with that Jamaican artist, you know what I mean? All of his songs about, having an affair with another man's wife. And isn't it ironic that he died doing the same thing? Isn't it ironic that it was what's his name? A Barkley. No, it was a Captain Barkey. And you know what I mean? All of his songs about, you know what I mean, as the man's gone, I'm coming in the house. So, you know what I mean? And believe me, that was just song after song. And isn't that weird how he died the same way? Isn't it weird that he couldn't have lost his life any other way, but he died doing what he loved so much? And why? Because it's in the book of Isaiah, man. Anything you choose above the Most High, you can die with it, man. So it's like 1 second, and imagine that, man. One day, you know what I mean, someone's gonna ask about him. So what happened to him, man? And he's sleeping with another man's wife, and the man just came home, and he's gone now. You know what I mean? That is a dishonorable death, man. And those deaths don't happen to the righteous. Why? Because we don't commit adultery, man. It don't happen because we don't do it. Haki and
Cancer. Just to add to what you were just saying there. So he basically died of covetousness, right?
Yes, yeah, you can use that as well, yeah. So, okay. You have some coffee.
Even easy to this day, death is frowned upon, like school. His poor son, every time he does a death convention, it's like he was kind of frowned upon.
Yeah, there you go. Cause back in the 90s, I believe no, it was in the early 80s when you spoke about AIDS. It was, you know what I mean, no one didn't really know how to handle it or how to, deal with it. So if you died of AIDS back then, you was like, ugh, that person was vile, man. And it's true, look, you know what I mean? Even though he was a manager for one of the biggest rap groups at the time, to die of AIDS was dishonorable, man. And why? He loved those easy women, those fast nights. And the Lord's like, you love that? Well, guess what? You can die by it, man. And listen, we're not laughing at him. And we don't laugh at anyone. In the Bible, the Lord says he doesn't have pleasure in the death of the unrighteous. So we don't laugh at nobody's death. But are we wrong for reading why it happens in the Bible? Absolutely not, man. You mean we're not laughing at no one, we're not gloating at no one, but it happens and the Lord allows it because of us not following his laws, man. That's what it is, man. You know what I mean? All right, so let's get to the book of go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So Ezekiel 18:32. For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, saith the Lord.
So now the Lord, it's not a game to him. So meaning when someone dies, now in this context here, it is someone who is unrighteous. The Lord doesn't have no pleasure in that. He's not, laughing and, oh, that was fun. It's not fun to him. And likewise, it should not be fun to us, man. Any black or Hispanic that dies in their unrighteousness, it is not a laughing matter. It's not where, you see, he didn't serve God, man. He was in here, so he got what he deserved. It's not like that. We don't do that in here. You know what I mean? When we die, do you know what happens? We reflect on ourselves, man, and go, listen, he died. If I don't change, this could be me next, man. That's right. If I don't stop a sin that I know is wrong, that can be me next, man. Right. You know what I mean? There'll be someone speaking about me next if I don't get right, man. So we don't laugh at no one.
Right.
At the back of what you said to how sinners die, how they live, like in like DMX right now. You know, DMX wanted to pop pills and live fast, and right now it's in the vegetative state. They're saying like brain dead on a hospital bed. And again, like your brothers ain't laughing, but it goes to show like how you live is it'll come back and get you.
There you go, man. So there's some examples right there, because I get asked a lot. But if that person's righteous, then why are they in the hospital? Why are they, sick? And that's not the emphasis of the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that if you serve the Lord, you're not going to catch the cold. You're not going to have a flu. You're not going to catch the coronavirus. It doesn't say that.
Right.
You are going to have them things, yeah. And you may die by those things too, but you die in your bed, man. You don't suffer the unrighteous death of dying on the roadside, man, or just dying of someone blowing your head off, or dying of something that is not natural. That's the point. So yes, anything can happen to any one of us.
Cancer.
So so yeah, because I get asked that a lot. So just definitely this being scripture breakdown class, just wanting to definitely address that. So does everyone understand that?
Cancer.
Like, 1 second, Haki. I'm just gonna read some more in Ezekiel.
For I have no pleasure in the death of him that dieth, saith the Lord. Wherefore turn yourselves and live ye.
There you go, man. So the Lord's saying, I don't have any pleasure in this. So turn and live ye, man. Turn from what? Your unrighteousness, man. Turn from that unrighteousness and live, man. Live, die that honorable death in your bed, man. And your grandsons around you, your granddaughters around you, your sons and daughters around you, man. You know what I mean? Get that death, but turn from the unrighteousness and live, man. And in that living there, it's not saying you're not going to die. It's just more into how you die. It's like you're quite like.
Yes, just a quick question, man. Like when Elijah was taken up in the whirlwind and he died, how would that relate to a righteous death and not being an unrighteous death? Because he didn't necessarily die in his bed. So I want to understand, was he unrighteous because he didn't die in his bed, or was he that's something different in comparison?
Well, okay, in what we're reading here, that's a different thing there. Reason being is it was the Lord that he took him up. So it was the Lord's will. But of course, he wasn't up there with the Most High. So all it means is somewhere he came down. And of course, the Bible doesn't go into what happened to him, how he lived. But the Bible doesn't get into that. But what we do know is that he was a very righteous man. For the Lord to take him up in that way, that shows how much with the Lord he was, man.
Right.
Yes.
Because I feel I'm told that Elijah didn't go to heaven, he just made an exit into the sky.
That's right, yeah.
He came down and died, but this went up.
Yeah, that's right. Because what verse? I believe it's in John where it goes with You got that?
John 3:13.
Okay, you got that. Yeah.
No man have ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man.
So now with the Yahushua, he's saying it's only him that has ascended up, and it's him that has came down. That's the Yahushua. So now the Bible doesn't contradict itself, because with Elijah, what does it say about him? That a whirlwind took him up to heaven, but he didn't go up to the heaven where the Most High is. Just meaning Elijah went up in the sky and he came down somewhere. But with Christ saying, listen, I'm the one that's going up. And guess what? I was the one that came down, man. So that's the understanding. So, with Elijah, he made a grand exit, A whirlwind just had him up in the sky. But he came down somewhere on the earth. But the Bible doesn't say how he lived, what happened to him on the earth, etc. But we know that the Lord was with him, because it was the Lord that took him up in that whirlwind. That's the point.
Come on, guys, we can read it. 2 Kings 2:1.
Yeah, let's read that.
And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elias to Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were there came with Elisha and saw him. Knowest thou that the Lord would take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, yea, I know it. Hold your peace.
So now, you know what I mean? Even before it happened, he knew that the Lord was going to take him up.
Right.
So, of course, him being taken up, it was of the Lord, because Elijah was aware of it before it even happened. So, you know what I mean? So the Lord is with this man, that he knew what was even going to happen to him before everyone else knew. He's letting them know that, listen, the Lord's going to take me up. When you find it, we will break it down. Also, anyone, any more of this? You want it quite a lot?
I'll taste it after.
I got you. Jimmy, it's a really nice.
Verse 11. And it came to pass as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses, and parted them both asunder.
So now with Elijah and what's the other name? Elisha. You know what I mean? Basically, with the wind, it divided them. So you know what I mean? They was conversating, and the wind was that strong that it divided them, man. Elijah on one side and Elisha, he's on the other side, and the clouds of the Most High, which the world calls UFOs, man. In the UPK, we call them IFOs because we can identify them, man. We know what they are. Reader.
And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven, and Elisha saw it and cried, my father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof.
There's now he's watching him go up, and if you look at that word, what's it? Aratazar or no? It is there is Amayim. So all it means is it took him up in the sky. That's what it means. It's not in the heaven like where the Most High is. It means that it went up in the air, man. That's all it means when you look that word heaven up. So so with Elisha, he's seen Elijah just be taken up in the air, and is crying for him, my father. Any more than that?
One more precept. That Elijah did die.
All right, so we're gonna get that one as well.
Matthew 11 and 14.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matthew 11 and 13. For all the prophets and the law prophesy unto John.
All right. So now, with the Habashai here, he's saying that everyone, they prophesied. I'll make it easy for you about John, because you got religions out there. What did they like to say? That with John, he's the last prophet of God, because they read this verse here. That word on atil, if you look it up, it just means about. It's not saying they're prophesying and John is the last one. They mean that with Isaiah, he prophesied about John. And if you don't believe me, the next verse is going to explain that many people in the Bible, they prophesied about John, but why did they prophesy about John? Reader.
And if you will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come.
And with Elias, you can look it up. In the Greek, it's Elias, but in the Hebrew, that is Elijah. So meaning what? That same spirit that was in Elijah, it's in John the Baptist, man. Showing you that what Elijah died, or otherwise his spirit couldn't be in John the Baptist, man. You know what I mean? If he was whirlwinded up into heaven and he did not die, then how could he be in John the Baptist, man? So you know what I mean? So he died, and down the line, as you know, life goes, you come back on the earth. He was John the Baptist. So of course Elijah died.
So John the Baptist had his head cut off in prison.
Yeah.
Would you say that was an unrighteous death because he was dying in bed?
Absolutely. All right. For those of you that don't know, John the Baptist left, man, the way of Yahushua. He left the truth, man. I believe it's in that same Matthew 11 right there, where his disciples came to Yahushua and asked, "Is it you, or do we seek for another?" Meaning what? John lost his faith, man. With Christ, he was the man, and John lost his faith. John left, man. You know what I mean? And in religion, they don't go into that, but John stopped believing, man. And it's right there. And what's the other one about? He that is least in the kingdom is greater than John the Baptist. Meaning he's saying, listen, any of you lot are better than him. Why? Because John lost his faith, man. So yeah, absolutely. Any other scriptures on the that's?
Oh, Elijah, no.
All right, so that's and that. So I mean, if you understand about Elijah situation, does everyone?
What about the apostles that died as well? What for Christ's namesake though?
Oh, in the Apocrypha, there's a scripture on that. So yes, you know what I mean. Some righteous people, they are tried. Notice it in Revelations 2. Some people get locked up. Some people they go through rough stuff. But even that, it's not every single one of us. So it depends on, again, what the Lord has for you, man. Some people die on their beds. Some people, the Lord will make them go through a bit more, man.
Even if you do die a gruesome death, but for the Lord, it's not shameful. You feel me? Like dying of AIDS or dying in the crack house, that's like shameful. Like what? Dying for the truth, even though it might be gruesome or hard, it's not shameful. There you
go. So yeah, that is an honorable death, man. You died for the name of Yahushua, for what he represents. That is an honorable death, man.
So you
know, yeah, go ahead.
But even if it's a gruesome death, right? The point I believe you're making is you die on your bed, right?
Not all the time, because with some of the disciples, they got beheaded, man. Some of them died. And there's another scripture. If you hand me an Apocrypha, I'll see if I can get that for you as well. But yeah, so now, again, what happened to the disciples, that doesn't happen to everyone. So for the majority, you know, most people die on their bed. So there's some people, they will go through something a little much more, man. Let me see if I can get it for you in the Apocrypha. Yes. 1 second, we're going to read this precept right here.
1 Peter 4:15. But let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as an evildoer.
There you go. So Thawada for that one too, man. Meaning things are going to happen to you in life, but don't die for being them things, man. Don't die for being a wicked bastard, man. Things are going to happen, but if it happened to you for righteousness' sake, then there's nothing wrong with it, man. You know what I mean? But like, as what he's saying there, don't make those things happen to you because you murdered somebody, man. And someone wants revenge for the evil that you done, man. Things are gonna happen, but if it happens for righteousness' sake, then there's nothing wrong with it, man.
Right.
To Zap one, you had something?
Khan, yeah, I was just going through even before. I just thought I need to ask because Elijah being righteous and on the side of the Lord and all that. But then here comes Elijah's spirit in John the Baptist, and now he's going to be released in the kingdom of heaven.
There you go. So that shows that John wasn't with Christ, or Christ wouldn't say that about him. But I got this precept of need. It is the wisdom of Solomon 3:1.
Lucky the
So,
one. Oh.
so what about the righteous that their head was chopped off, or they had a bit of a more rougher death than being on their bed?
It's like a brother said, Slucky, can you go to Stephen in this topic as well?
Oh yeah. All right. If anything, then hold this. Let's get to that first in Acts 9. Is it about Stephen when he was stoned? So, all right, we're gonna hold this one here, and we're gonna use him as an example. Then we're gonna get back to this verse in the Apocrypha. All right.
Can't see.
Oh, Acts 6. You reckon? Yeah, get there with you. Yeah. So I can shake this up. Yeah, you should have won.
7, but less.
All right. Let me distribute some of this.
754. 754.
All right, Acts 7 and 54. 7 and 54. Bad. Told you.
Is that smoothie?
All right. Let's get that.
Acts chapter
That's
7.
It's lucky the one. Yeah. What's it?
Go on, read on that, Kayan. Read on it.
You sure? All right. No sweat. Can't say. Acts 7:54. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on him with their teeth.
All right. So I'll just let you know what happened before what we're reading right here. So this man here, he was speaking against the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and he was telling that, listen, you lot have always resisted the will of God, man. He was letting them know that they're off. You know what I mean? And like anyone, when they're cut to the heart, they get angry, man. When you tell them about themselves, they get angry. And he told them the truth. And these leaders of their time, they was cut to the heart, and they gnashed their teeth, man. They vexed like, this prick right here. Who's he talking to? You know what I mean? They got vexed. Reader.
Khan. But he, being full of the Holy Ghost, Salakia, Holy Spirit, looked up steadfastly into heaven.
All right. So now, all right. So now, I want you to think about that part when we go to the next precept that we got. That listen, you know what I mean? While they're angry, while the one that hurt him, he looked up to heaven, man. He was not afraid. Why? Because he done something righteous. He spoke the truth. Read on.
Khan. Looked up steadfastly into heaven and saw the glory of Yahweh and Yahushai standing on the right hand of Yahweh. And said, behold, I see the heavens opened, and the Son of Man standing on the right hand of God. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord.
So meaning they stopped their ears like, I don't want to hear that, man. They didn't want to hear what he had to say. But while we're reading this, I want you to keep this in mind. Before he's about to die, he's seeing Yahushai sitting at the right-hand side of the Most High, man. Now remember now, he's about to die. Reader.
Khan. And cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at the young man's feet, whose name was Saul.
Saul, and that is the same as Saul, whose name was Paul. So the same man that what's some of the books? First Corinthians, Romans, Ephesians. This is where he is introduced right here. Read on.
Quran Khan. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon God and saying, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit.
Uh-huh.
And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, Lord, lay not this sin to their charge. And when he had said this, he fell asleep.
There, so they stoned him so much that before he dies, like, listen, don't lay this sin onto them. Then he fell asleep. Now, I want you to, as we're going to read this precept right here, and let's see the insides of it. Let's see the technical account. So let's get that in the Apocrypha. Wisdom of Solomon 3:1. So yes, he is a righteous man, and his death wasn't in his bed. But let's find out something about it in this a precept right here. Read on.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 1. But the souls of the righteous are in the hand of God, and there shall no torment touch them.
So now the souls of the righteous are in the hands of God, and shall know. Now I want you to focus on in the book of Acts. Didn't mention he was in any pain. Didn't mention that he was in pain at night. So even though the death is not how it should be in his bed, was he in pain? No torment. It doesn't happen to us, man. Even in what the world would deem for us an unrighteous death for standing up for the name of the Lord, man.
Right.
Read
on. Yeah. Does that mean like are you saying that when the stones was licking Stephen, right? It weren't in pain? Are you saying that? Is that what you're saying?
According to this scripture here, and then it's saying, don't lay this sin upon him. If someone's stoning you to death, do you go, well, just let them go? Someone's throwing rocks in your head. That is painful, man. And even before he died, what did he see? Christ sitting on the right-hand side of the Most High, man.
Khan, okay.
So, read.
Slaki Adon. So then you could say that the Spirit of the Lord is like not letting him feel pain, basically, like when Daniel was in the fiery furnace and they were protected in is it kind of like that, so to speak?
Yeah, you can use that as an example as well. Read on.
And Khan. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken away for misery.
So, all right. So now I want you to focus on this. It says, in the sight of the unwise. So someone who's not wise, who doesn't know the Lord, to go, well, this is a man of God. So why did he die like that? That's for the unwise, man.
Right.
And then it goes, and their departure is taken for a misery. So meaning for someone unwise, that was a miserable death, man. So Stephen got stoned to death. That's a miserable death. But let's read on.
Verse 3. And their goings from us to be utter destruction.
And when they left us, meaning when they left us in this life, that was destruction right there, man. A man got stoned to death. But let's read on.
But they are in peace.
But they're in peace, man. They're in peace, man. When they come back into that next life, they're in peace, man. Those men that died and in the sight of the unwise, it seems so bad. In their next life, they're in peace, man.
Khan.
And now that's something that the unwise don't get. He claims to be this man of God. So how did he die like that? Listen, they don't understand how life works. He's coming back, man. And he's going to have peace, man. He's going to have the kingdom of heaven and rulership. and dominion. Read on.
So like on again, is it would you say then this is similar to the man that was on the side of Christ, one of the men that was on the side of Christ, you know, one of the two men that was being killed with Christ, the one that spoke for Christ, so to speak. Would you say this is like that as well?
Yes, because obviously he acknowledged that this was the a son of God, and Christ goes, from this day you should be with me. So yes, you know what I mean. He's at peace, man. He died on the cross, but you know, in the kingdom to come, he's gonna be with him, man, with Yahushua. Even though that death, you know what I mean, it seems so rough, but guess what? He's coming back.
Right.
Read on.
I don't count verse 4. For though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immorality.
Immortality. So meaning, yes, in the sight of men, they died, man. He got stoned to death in the sight of men. But what they don't know is that with that soul in him, it's immortal, man.
That's
what
right.
he died for, or when he comes back, he's gonna live immortal, man, meaning live the best life, man.
Right.
And that's sometimes what happens to not all of us, but that happens to some as well, where the death might not be on your bed, you know what I mean? But nevertheless, you come back in that next life, and for what you died for, or you know what I mean, you got the kingdom of heaven, man.
Right. So kind of break down the book of Enoch and Joshua. When we move from the Bible, should we be learning from them?
Okay, first off, the answer is no. You shouldn't be learning from those books. Reason being is those are heretic books. And when I say heretic, meaning someone that has left the real doctrine of the Bible.
Right.
You know, you can look them up, and even people that are not in the I.S.U.P.K, you know, even they know that those are heretic plagiarized books, man. Those books are not biblical. You know what I mean? They are books that people wrote to try and add onto the Bible. Reason being is, of course, the Bible doesn't go into every people. They wonder, you know, what happened? Enoch this, Enoch that. And what did they do? They believe God's with them, and they're going to write a book about what happened to this man, Enoch. They believe, well, this book is going to fill in the gaps. And, you know, these are just books of men's devices. It's just books that, you know, people thought, well, I believe I know what happened. And, you know, you can look them up. These books, they've been known to be false for decades. You know what I mean? Matter of fact, hundreds of years, man. Even early England in the 1500s, no one read those books. And I believe the guy that even brought the book out, when England was following Christianity, they even locked him up. And that is researchable information. We'll get it when we do. No. Yeah, good.
So okay, so but the Bible do mention the book of Joshua. It does mention these books. But what you're saying is the ones that are out now are not authentic, but the ones that are authentic, we haven't got.
That's right. Yes.
To.
So now, okay.
No.
Now, regarding the book of Enoch, it mentions a man by that name, but there's nowhere in the Bible where it said there is a book of Enoch. Now, with the book of Joshua, it does mention it in the Bible, but the one you can buy on Amazon, that is not the one that the Bible is talking about, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you can look it up if we get it.
The supposed lost book was declared an obvious hoax.
All right, so now which book we're going to? The book of Joshua right here. And this is online. This is, you can look on this on a Wikipedia, and it lets you know the supposed lost book was declared an obvious hoax, meaning it was obvious. It didn't take no deep research, meaning with the scholars at that time that read it, they knew this is BS, man. They knew that was a hoax. Read on.
By the monthly review in December of the year of publication, and the printer Jacob Live was sentenced in 1756 for 3 years in jail for fraud of his radical anti-religious pamphlets.
There you go. So even the book, it dates back to this man, Jacob Alive, and he got locked up 3 years for this obvious hoax, which was anti-religious. Because at that time, England was England was a Christian country. And of course, him writing that book and to throw it out there, that was seen as anti-religious, and that was a crime. And he got 3 years for even putting the obvious hoax of a book out. So it can't get any better than that. You know what I mean? They knew back then that the book was a hoax. So why do we read it now? You know what I mean? So the book has always been known as a hoax. Now, yes, in the Bible, I believe in the book of Samuel's, it does mention that book, but the book you buy today of it is not the one that the Bible is referencing to, man.
Right.
So like I said,
yeah.
So where is that book? If I could, I know you don't know everything, but I mean, do you know where that book is, or no, or nothing?
No one knows. You know what I mean? You can search online and all them say, nah, don't know where it is. Even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, you don't find a book of Joshua in there. So it's a book that over time got lost. I mean, it's all we can say. You know, we can't hypothesize and you know make something up. No one knows where the book is. Simple as that. But what you do know is that what is remaining, that's what we need, man. What is in the Bible and the Apocrypha, that's enough to solve everything, man. Right. So someone get it from me. Isaiah 34 and 16.
Isaiah chapter 34, verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read.
And there you go, man. You know what I mean? There are some things that the Bible mentions that we don't have, but still seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, man. Right. What is here? Read that, man. You know what I mean? We got laws, statutes, commandments, and lots of counseling in the Bible, man. Seek out of that and read. If the Lord wanted them books here until this day, they would have been here, man. That's right. But we got what we need, man. And we seek out of that and read, man. You know what I mean? No one can't lie to us and say, I found this lost book. If the Lord wanted us to have it, we would have had it, man. We would have had it, but we don't. But what do we do? Seek out of that book of the Lord and read, man. Why? Because it's got everything in there, man. Read on.
Another one, can. No one of these shall fail.
Meaning what? No. None of the prophecies in the book, they shall fail. Meaning there's nothing in the book that will let you down, man.
Right.
And that's why, even though the book of Joshua ain't with it, guess what? All of it stands strong, man.
That's
till this day. Read on.
No one, none shall want her mate.
And none shall want her mate. What does the word mate mean? Join, man. Right. Meaning none shall want some book you're trying to join with the Bible.
Right.
For example, the book of Enoch. Mm-hmm. Once you understand a Bible, you don't want to join the book of Enoch with the Bible, man.
Right.
Once you got the real understanding, you're like, this book is false, man. You don't want her mate. You don't
Right.
want some book that people say you gotta join with the Bible, man.
Right.
Read on.
Lucky other one, if I may as well, like all these religions, I think every single, I could say every single last one of them, they do try and make the Bible with other books. You know what I mean? Like the Quran, and you know what I mean? Like the Muslims, they try and they use the Bible along with the Quran, and you know, trying to join it with it, basically, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And you want to know why? Because the Bible is a valid book, and
That's
even
right.
they know it. That's why they're gonna try and find Muhammad in the Bible. You know what I mean? If your book is so right, then Muhammad can be in there, man.
That's right.
But though the thing is, you know, him being in your book is not enough, man.
Right.
It doesn't validate it. So you gotta make Muhammad be in the Bible somewhere, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even looking at words in Psalms, it says Muhammadim, but I thought his name was Muhammad. Like, it's Muhammadim now. Like, what are you doing, man?
Right.
And you do things like that because you know you're trying to validate your religion, man.
That's
the
right.
Rastas, man.
Right.
Although some don't like the Bible, they need the Bible.
Right.
If the Bible wasn't around, then what I mean, what they believe in wouldn't make no sense. What they believe in, there's nothing to allegedly validate it, man. The Bible is the book of books, man. And people always try to join something to it. People always try to mate something with it because subconsciously they know this is the book, man.
That's right.
This is the book that holds water. And they try to join something with it. Like, listen, ours is valid because the Bible says this. And that alone should let you know that the Bible is the book, man.
That's right.
Read on.
So like, I felt like there was more to that, but yeah, I know, sir. For my mouth it has commanded, and his spirit it has gathered them.
There, so the spirit of the Lord, it has gathered all them books, man. What we read now, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, the law, the spirit of the Lord gathered that, man. So we don't have that book, then the Lord didn't want us. Yes, please. You know what I mean? The Lord didn't want us to have it, man.
Right.
So we don't threat ourselves. You know, what would the book of Joshua say? Listen, man, the Lord gave us what we need, and let's use that. You know what I mean? Let's work with that, man.
Yeah, so like what you said, the Bible goes, you know, the Lord gathered these books that we need, and the Lord didn't gather Joshua. You know what I mean? It was a Bible that told us what to eat, what not to eat, how to dress, the holy days. Joshua don't teach none of these things, man. Talking about mermaids and angels falling from heaven. I mean, when the Bible tells a black man how to live his life, how to fight lust, what marriage is, talks about the prophecies and the missiles and the end times, and let us know who the Israelites are, who all the nations are. Joshua don't teach none of this, man. Anyone, you know what I mean, trying to go into that, honestly, is wasting time, man. That's how you know it's plagiarism.
That's right, man. And also in them books, there's nothing that can change your life, man. It's all fantasy and, you know, make believe. And the Bible is a very carnal book, man. You not eating swine's flesh, that's carnal, man. Meaning you don't do it. And them books take you away from them things. And, you know, and really that's what it is all about. Any more in Isaiah?
I think that's it, but I think that's the other one. Yeah.
All right, then let me get into Exodus about the buying and the selling on the Sabbath. Exodus 20.
What verse?
I believe Exodus 20 and let me get there. And 8.
Okay. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
So now it's saying, remember this day, man, and to keep it holy. What does that word mean? Separate. Separate, man. Meaning this day is a separate day from all of your other days. You know what? I'll let verse 9 break down what separates this day from the 6 other days of the week. Read on.
Verse 9. 6 days shalt thou labor, do all thy work.
So now that's what makes that day holy. You got 6 days to labor and do all your work, man. You got 6 days to be a mechanic, a lorry driver, an engineer. But on that day, it's holy, man. Meaning on that day, you don't labor, you don't do that work, man. You don't do what would be called your occupation, man. That's all it's saying, man. So on that day, you don't do it. Now, of course, who is this law for?
Us only, Slack, you're the one.
Yes, but amongst us, who?
The Israelites are the ones.
Our
Yes.
servants. Our servants, Slack, yeah.
It's for
so-
them. But okay, but who is the law written to? Because it's saying, you mean 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work. But who has the ability to make someone labor?
Oh, the white man. The slave master, Slack, yeah.
All right, remember though, this law, it was handed to us before we was in England. So who is it to?
The Africans.
The employer, Salakia, the employer.
The employer. Yeah. So now this law is reminding an employer that, listen, your manservant, your maidservant, they work for you 6 days, but they have this day off, man. They labor and do all their work, but they gotta have this day off. You mean you don't have a job and say, I want this day off? It's a manager that allows you to have that day off.
Right.
So it's obvious that this law isn't individually written for you because you don't have the power to even say that anyway.
Okay.
It's written for a manager that you mean he reads this law and goes, okay, I gotta give my workers this day off. It's not written directly for us because we don't have that power anyway. A manager calls you and goes, listen, I need you in work. You have to go.
Right.
But
So like,
if this law, one second, if this law is for the manager, he has the ability to go, listen, this is a law of the land. I cannot make my workers work on this day. You got something?
Can't, sir. You just answered the question. You just answered it. So like,
Okay, no sweat, no sweat. Read on.
Verse 10. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt do any work. That's
So now,
in
okay.
In it thou shalt not do any work.
So on this day, thou shalt not do any work. So meaning what? The manager reads this law and goes, listen, I can't make no one work for me. And as we read on, it's going to break down who it's talking about. Read on.
Thou know thy son.
So now hang on, it's saying you or your a son. Why? Because some sons work in a family business. In some businesses, the family works in it, which is a lot of them. In you know what I mean? It's a family business, meaning what? Your son is working in that business. So you, because why? The business is yours, or your son, because your son is working for your business. Read on.
And so like if I may, like family is a business, isn't it? Like back in the days, if you're a farmer, all the your sons will be helping out farming. If you're a carpenter, your son will be, part of that carpentry, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And in the Bible, you'll find examples of that where, you know what I mean, it would be what we will call today a family business. You know what I mean? Read on.
God, know thy daughters, thy men servant.
So now hang on. So now in this business, you got manservants. So now if you're not related to this man and you work for him, you would be a manservant. So on this day, everyone has it off, man. For the business you run, for that occupation, everyone has this day off. Your sons, your daughters, your manservant, read on.
Nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
So meaning even a stranger, meaning someone that comes from another land and they want to work for you just to, make ends meet. Everyone has this day off. Even your animals, man. Your animals don't, go on the grass and the corn and the fields or whatever animals do. Even your animals rest. And this law is for what? A manager, someone that owns a business.
That's right.
All right. So now, does everyone understand that?
Can't.
So like the other one, I just want to say, I wasn't going to ask it today, but I had it in mind. It came up in my mind today to ask, to kind of dig in a bit about that again. So you hit the nail on the head today, man.
I got you. So now let's get the same law in the book of Deuteronomy 4. So now it's going to make it even easier to understand, because I know some people think, well, nah. So I know Deuteronomy 5 and 12. Deuteronomy 5 and 12.
Deuteronomy
5 and verse 12. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work.
All right. So now what we're reading is going hand in hand with the book of Exodus, pretty much saying the same thing. Read on.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thine ox, nor thine ass, nor any of thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates, that the manservant and thy maidservant may rest as well as thou.
And there you go. So now take all the religion of it. A Sabbath day is a rest day that everyone may rest like you, man. That takes away all the religion, and on the Sabbath day, angels ain't protecting you. Nah, man. The Sabbath day is just a rest day from your occupation, meaning no work gets done. Everyone that works for you has rest, man. Now, I'm going to give you some examples. Just say, for example, is your occupation to lay bricks on the week, but on this day, you want to lay bricks for yourself. It's not your occupation. You're just doing it because, it helps you unwind. There's like, all right, in your backyard, there's like there's something you want to make. Is that breaking the law? It's okay. Why is that not breaking the law?
So lucky the one, because he's not making money from it.
Give that a hand, man. It's not your occupation. It don't make money. You're laying bricks for yourself because you want something in your back garden. You want to make like a hut or like something. You're not getting paid for that. 6 days in the week, that's your job, but you're doing it for yourself and you ain't making money. You're not doing it to make a gain. You're doing it, it helps you unwind. You want to make it for yourself. That's not a sin. So now to answer what was asked, if you're doing the salts because you want to, make some salts for yourself or make something for yourself, that is totally fine. But if you're doing it for your business to sell, then no. But if you're doing it for yourself, you got something in your mind and you want to make it, then that is not a sin. You make them all 6 days a week, but you got something you want to make for your self, that's totally
Right.
fine. Like, you know, I got this idea. Then that is not a sin, man. If
So
that's the first part of the question. Salakia, someone got something?
yeah, like I don't want to lose a train of thought. Yeah, it's like like it said, you work 6 days and then you rest on the seventh day. So as you mentioning, about if you want to make a brick wall, right? You know, what I mean, that's legal because you're not getting paid for it. It's your own thing, and it's like if you work in 6 days. So my point is, you work in 6 days, you ain't got no time to do nothing else for yourself. So
There you
that
go.
one thing right there, yeah, is a little gap. You know what I mean? That you can get things done. It's like,
There you go. And that's a heavy point. If you're doing it 6 days, then when would you have a chance to do what you need to get done on that day, man? You're resting from your occupation. So, 1 second, Quatzar, you got some.
Did you break down
Numbers
numbers 15 and 34?
15 and 34. Okay, no sweat. So now, you know, I should have went here next anyway. So now, many people that believe work is, you know, anything, they go to the book of Numbers 15 and 34. So let's get that. Numbers 15 and 34. And Sakia, Alban, you had something as well?
Like I said, I just had Deuteronomy 5 and 12.
I got you. No sweat. So let's get that. Numbers 15 and 34.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 34. And they put him in ward.
So lucky. It start from a 32.
Verse 32. And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day.
All right. So now people read this and, you know, what comes into your mind? There's no wrong answer. When reading this, you mean, what is the thing that comes in your mind?
So, like the other one, if I may.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you just think this random guy is just walking around, disobeying, and just gathering sticks when he's not supposed to on that day.
All right. So now, 1 second. So now I'll add on to that. Because so many people believe that a work is anything, they read this and go, you can't even pick up sticks, man. You know what I mean? That's how much rest the Lord wants you to have. Am I wrong? It is not the perception people have on this verse right here.
Right.
But remember though, we just read in the law that work is your occupation and you rest from that. So now for him to be picking up these sticks right here, what does that let you know about the sticks that he is gathering?
So that killer one.
Yeah.
They're to make money on the Sabbath day. He's using it for work wise.
There you go, man. So now, whatever occupation he had, it involved gathering those sticks right there. We just read the law. The law lets you know that it's your occupation. If he's gathering these sticks and then he died for doing it, those sticks involved his occupation. And with those sticks, he could have made many things tents.
Right.
They involved the gathering of sticks. He could have been a man that, you know, he brings the wood to make the campfires. That could have been his job. So, you know what I mean? Of course, the Bible doesn't specifically tell you what his job is, but his job involves gathering those sticks, if I'm making sense. But we know the law breaks it down. It's a rest day from your labor, from your work. So if he got put to death for gathering these sticks, his occupation involved gathering them sticks.
That's right.
So it's not like, you know, don't do no work on the Sabbath. The man picked up one stick and they're like, he died. That's how many people read that verse. Like, that rest means don't even pick up a stick. No, his labor, his occupation involved gathering them sticks. So he was working on that day and his occupation involved gathering them sticks. If I'm making sense.
Kind of what
I mean, are you sure?
Go on.
You with me? I don't want to lose no one. Everyone online understand as well. Don't want to lose anybody.
Hold on, sir.
Okay, most of the all right then. So now the buying and the selling part. Now keep this in mind. In the law, there's no verse that ever says that. People say on the Sabbath buying and selling. There is no verse that says buying and selling on the Sabbath. That is something that is hearsay. You got some?
Look at the one. I was just trying to remember what was on the guy that's gathering sticks just now, right? So, like when Moses, they put him in war to see what would, they put him in war to see what should happen to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it was just plain and straight as they think today, as he was just gathering one stick, you know what I mean, and then he got killed for that. It had to be more than that for them to put him in ward, if that makes sense.
That's true, but all right, I'll add on to it. You know, of course, the Bible doesn't say how much he had. His occupation, he could have had, you know what I mean, damn near hundreds of them, bundled up, wrapped up, stacked. It don't say. It don't mean Sir Dick's like 1 and 2. He could have had loads of sticks, man, bundled, roped up. You mean for his occupation?
Also, people don't understand what it means to collect sticks. Like to collect sticks, again, like we was in the wilderness for 40 years. So, brothers, people made food. Some people made tents. People had the occupation to get. It was 40 years, a long time. And like when brothers hear the word sticks, they think it's like twigs and stuff. No, sticks made tents back then. Now to get a fire, you light the stove. Back then, to start a fire was work, man. Apparently, you got to cut the wood vertically.
Vertically, yeah.
And then rub it, and it still won't light. And you got to keep it alight. You got to blow it and kindle it. That brother was, that's work to the point that back then, average men didn't start fires. I think servants did.
Yeah, there was someone. It was the occupation to make that campfire. It wasn't just something anyone could do. Someone got paid to set up that fire, man. The wood and the sticks, and you know what I mean. It was their occupation. So with this man, he was doing his occupation. He didn't gather just one stick and like kill him. You know what I mean? And as I said before, you don't know how much. He could have had bundles of sticks, man, hundreds, roped up on another one. You don't know. You just sticks. Salaki says, you got some?
I was just gonna say, most of them big jobs because even like a little barbecue at home, it takes about 12
That's right.
There you go.
There
you go.
Come on, Con. So like the sister said, she got. It's hard to even like the barbecue. You know what I mean? So like yeah, Con. So when they said to put inward, but that's the trial. Like when police were saying put you under arrest until your trial.
That's right. Yeah. So they had him inwards, and then with Moses, he asked of the Lord what should be done to him, and the Lord goes, "Listen."
So would that be putting him under arrest, and inquiries being made? Asking witnesses, getting the evidence, just make sure the brothers put to death lawfully.
Absolutely, yeah. So you know what I mean that's what happened right there.
So lucky the one. It's lucky the one. Yeah.
Can he?
And also, just to add to that, right? I mean, if the scriptures say not to work on the Sabbath day, and the guy's collecting sticks, we should automatically know that it was an occupation because they killed him anyway. So people should have known that they're not going to kill him unlawfully anyway.
There you go. Of course, they knew that this involved his occupation. And they're like, nah, he's working on this day. So he didn't just pick up one stick and kill him. You know what I mean? He needs to rest, like as if to pick up a stick is work. They understood that, this man's working. You know what I mean? He's doing his occupation, and you shouldn't be doing it on this day. So that's the light that is on it. While as in religion, that's the light that is a verse like one stick and he got put to death. Nah. Whatever those sticks involved was his occupation, basically.
Right.
So now with the buying part, there's no verse that says buying and selling. I believe in the book of Nehemiah, there's that one, and again, that is them doing their occupations. If you can get that in Nehemiah, is it 8 or something like that? So even the whole buying and selling thing again is people doing their occupations, man.
Right.
I probably might have the wrong chapter. All right, it might be 11 or 13, chapter 13. Okay.
13 verse. What's like here, please?
Find it 13. And 15.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on. Nehemiah 13, verse 15. In those days, saw I in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath.
All right. So now this is the scripture people like to use go on Sabbath, buy and sell, going in a shop. Listen, if someone is pressing on wine, that's your job. The average man doesn't go to a wine press and sit down on the grapes.
Right.
He doesn't do it for the love of wine. That's his job. You don't do it because you like to do it. That's your occupation. You are stamping on the grapes to make wine because that's your job. Someone pays you to do that to those grapes. No average Joe goes, I want to step on some grapes, man. I want to just make some wine. People get paid to do that. If you work in any factory, you're paid to manufacture. You don't do it because you like to do it. They're not stepping on. They're not making wine because they just want to make wine. It's their occupation to stamp on those grapes to make wine, man. Reader.
Come on. I'm bringing in sheaves
and sheaves, man.
Asses.
That is like a bundle of wheat. Sheaf. That's someone's occupation. You don't walk around. Throwing heavy bundles of wheat for just because you like to. That's your occupation. These people work on farms and they are throwing around sheaves of wheat or hay or whatever the case may be. These things are occupations, man. No one does it for the love of it. Reader.
Khan. And laden asses.
Salaki, 1 second. And that lets you know this is their occupation. Because while they've done the grapes and the wheat, what did it say? And the laden asses. Does anyone know what that is? A laden ass.
Canada, it's like when you got a horse or a donkey, and you put the hamper on, and then you put the your goods in the hamper, right, for the horse or the donkey to carry.
And what are you going to do with all that you put on the ass?
Trading. You're trading. You're gonna sell it.
There you go, man. These were their occupations. So once they, done the wine and the sheaves, they loaded their asses, man. If you're a HGV driver, they use those words even till this day. A laden lorry, unladen, meaning there's nothing on it. A laden lorry, meaning it's got goods on it, man. So what are they doing? They're doing their occupation, man. They've done it and they've loaded up this ass onto what? To make it go somewhere and then what? Sell the merchandise, man. That's the buying and selling. Even that is business related, man. That is work related. It's not you going to a corner shop, man. You're going in the shop, you're buying off them. You ain't got nothing to present onto them. You ain't got no lady and that's like him. Look, man, you know what I mean? I'm gonna give you this. You give me this, man. That you got something.
Yeah, and the buying that we think is talking about, we're really consuming. We ain't buying anything. To buy means you get goods to trade it. Like,
There you go.
Like England will buy Mercedes from Germany and sell them to the British public. That's buying. We're consuming. We get money from the white man and give it right back to him. That's not really buying.
That's not buying, absolutely. And that is a heavy point. We think to buy is to go to a shop when, with the money we have, it was their economy anyway, man. When like you buy, meaning you have yours and you're buying from them, man, you have something to give. When we go in the shop, we just consume, man. That's not buying. In the business terms. You got something?
Khan, I was gonna select you. You said business sense. I was gonna say trading and commerce.
Trading. Right. In the commerce sense, yeah, you know what I mean? Those are better words to use. So again, to show you that this is work related, after they done all that, they put it on a loaded ass, man. I mean, they loaded that ass up with all that wine, all those sheaves. To do what? Sell it, man. It's work related. So if people go on the Sabbath, you can't buy and sell. Listen, you go into a shop, that's not buying and selling, man.
Right.
This is buying and selling right here, man. You got your goods, you're gonna go and exchange them with someone else, man. The commerce, the trading, that's the buying and selling that this scripture is referring to. Slakia, to that point, you got some?
Canada on Slakia. You know, the scripture says that he calls small or great, rich or poor, to receive the mark and so on and so forth, that no man could buy or sell. Which is on the topic of where we are now, the buying and selling, which is trade. Like we can't buy or sell because we're under him right now. So
there you go. Yes and no, meaning if you don't have the mark of the beast, you can't buy or sell. Meaning, what's the example? You mean like for example, they would sanction you, and then you can't sell, man. What you got, you can't sell, and also they won't even allow you to buy, man. They're like, listen, you're sanctioned, man. We're not gonna do no business with you. That happened to Jamaica, man. Jamaica's got bananas galore, and America sanctioned Jamaica, and Jamaica can't sell a banana. If if you're in Jamaica, you can buy all the bananas you want, man. But if they want to sell them out to the earth, they can't buy or sell, man. So that's one example that you can use, man. So that point, that's what
I think my point was like, I know, like we're not in that. My point is, we're not in the position to buy or sell. That was the point why.
That's right.
I was pulling that right.
And and that as well, man. Reader, you had something.
Just say that at the back of that. That's such a drug dealer. Like a drug dealer say, listen, you gotta buy coke from the boss, man. You don't buy. You buy from the Turks, so yeah. Like on Top Boy, the man was like, listen, I'll get it somewhere cheaper. Now you can't. That's what the white man is.
Right.
It tells you can't buy your bananas from Jamaica. You gotta buy it from Mexico. I think he said to the Americans, you can't buy your tea. You can't buy your own tea. You gotta buy it from India. Why? Because you taxing India's tea. That's some drug dealer shit.
That's right, man. That's right, man. Reader.
So like, yes, sir, if I could.
Yeah, good.
So the reason why Jamaica, Salakia, it might be off topic a bit though, but Jamaica didn't basically go along with America's ideologies, right? Or and that's why they're not allowed to buy and sell, right? Just a question.
Yes. Now, okay, you know what I mean? I'm going back at least 11 years or probably even more. You know, of course, everyone knows that Jamaica hated homosexuality. That was known. And of course, you know what I mean? We was young, we heard all the songs, you know what I mean? Every song was just that 1, 2, 3, just, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? And then now, eventually, you know what I mean? They were like, nah, we can't accept this. And with America, along with England, what did they start to do? The first step was to ban Jamaican artists. So they couldn't come to America or the UK. And of course, that didn't stop anything as a whole. But then what happened? As the sanctions got worse, as things got bad, now a reggae artist doesn't talk about anti-homosexuality at all, man. Back in the 90s, every song was just off the press. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, an artist doesn't even dare talk about it, man. Why? From what England and America done to Jamaica, we're like, listen, like, you know what I mean? We don't want to rebel, man. You know what I mean? We're trying to bring in an income. And you know what I mean? Why? Because if you don't have his mark, and of course, you know what I mean? The West Indies had some wrongs, but that was one thing that they were like, no, we don't accept that. And even that, if you don't have his mark, you can't buy or sell, man. They sanctioned the West Indies, man. Like, listen, you don't agree with that alternate way of life, then listen, man, we're gonna make your life horrible. And they did it, man.
Slaki, sir. Slaki, sir. Has Jamaica accepted it now? I know they don't talk about it, but have they accepted it now, though?
Yes.
Oh God!
You go to the richer parts of Jamaica, and you will see open sexual deviance there, man.
Slaki, how can you? Have you not seen Bashment Granny? Look, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Khan, Bashment Granny. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
There you go, man. But all right, for time's sake, let's read on in Nehemiah.
Khan has also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day.
So hang on now. They went out with the ass, and they came back, man. They came back to Jerusalem, and Nehemiah, he is speaking against it. Why? Because they're doing their occupation, they're doing their work, man. Read on.
Khan, and I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals.
They sold what?
Victuals.
Now, does anyone know what victuals are?
Khan, goods.
No, that's not victuals, if I'm correct. I could be wrong.
It's like ornaments, and cups and plates and pots.
I don't believe that one here. If you look it up for me, victuals.
It's like the one. Victuals is food or provisions.
There you go. Give that a hand. That is victuals. That is it, man. I mean, what? They sold food, man. Why? Because it's their occupation. Remember, they had the wheat, man. And what they're doing, they're selling food, man. They're like, listen, man, why? Because it's their job to sell food. And on the rest day, they were doing that too, man. They were selling food on a day they should not be. Just let you know, this is work related. Some people own what? Restaurants, man. And 6 days, they could have sold all the victuals, but on that day, they are selling food, man. You know what I mean? The answer is right here. Buying and selling ain't what we think it is in our everyday life. These things are occupation related, man. Read on.
Khan, there dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware. And
so have in mind now, they're selling victuals, and then there came men that what? They brought in fish, man. These Africans right here, they brought fish for them. Why did they bring in the fish? You got it, Crawford?
It's like I remember years ago having a battle, and the brother said, "Look, they're buying fish." So I was like, "So you're telling me Africans came all the way from Africa to buy one fish?" Like he thought they was buying fish like how you buy fish from a yardman shop. I was like, "Nah, they're buying fish in bulk, man. Like it's like buying, it's like how Iceland will get loads of bucks of fish fingers and then drive it to one part of the country and drop it off to Sainsbury's." And he was like, "Nah, the Bible don't say that." So I was like, "So you telling me the Africans came to buy a couple fish
to Jerusalem
and donkey to buy 5 fishes? They're buying it in bulk."
And it's sad. It's sad that religion takes away common sense, and you want to know why that doesn't make sense. Because if you look on a map, where those Africans were, they were by the sea anyway. So it's obvious they didn't come for one fish. They came for boatloads, man. And guess what? We sold food, man. So it's business right here. This is business related, man. It's got nothing to do with your personal buying. This is economy, man. This is business. And you got some coffee.
Yeah, so would that mean like I got a restaurant, and I go to the warehouse to get my fish?
There you go. These Hamites had the fish, and they were selling victuals. So if you're selling, things to eat, and people are coming with fish, you can't do it on the day you're not meant to be working, man. The day you're not meant to be doing business. Slakia to Zarpan. You had something?
Yeah, Khan, I was just gonna say quickly, like they were known, Tyre and Zidon were known for traveling and commerce and fishing.
There you go.
And trade and
honestly, it can't get any better than that, man. Research them. They were known for business, you know what I mean? And what they're doing is a business transaction on a day you should not be doing business.
That's right.
It can't get any easier than that. Reader.
Quran Khan, and all manner of wear. And so on the Sabbath.
Salakia, can I just ask where you're reading? I'm trying to find it for ages and I can't find it.
Nehemiah 13 and something.
And 13. Nehemiah 13 and 16.
16, right.
And all manner of wear, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem.
So now they came down, and in Jerusalem they was doing business with us, man. On a day we're not meant to be doing business. That is the easiest way of breaking this down. The buying and selling is business related, man. Right. They were doing business transactions on the one day. God says, don't do it, man. These how much with what they came from the a coast. Remember, they live by a port, and you know how it goes. A port comes with all the goods, man. Right. And then what happens from the port, the goods go to where they need to go, man. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it. They're doing business on the one day. They should be resting, man, from their business. Read on.
So like the one.
Yeah, good.
So like it says, so if I wanted to sell something to Tazapa one on the Sabbath day, like my speaker, right? It's not my job, right? But I'm making money off the speaker. Can I do that?
No. Because even though it's not even though it's not what would basically pay your bills 6 days a week, it's a day where rest. So we don't do a business on that day at all. Like what we're reading here, you know what I mean? You don't do business on that day. Yes, it was their occupation, but you don't do business on that day. And those Hamites, you know what I mean? They were around Jerusalem trying to do what? Do business, man. And it's a day that we rest. It is a rest day. Now, you know what I mean? Now, I'll give you another example. If you want to hand him something because you want it on that day, that's not a sin. But when it becomes business, then that is a problem. Because it's a day you're meant to be resting.
So could I give it to him on that day, right? And then on Sunday, get the money from it?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, no sweat. Thought us that soon.
Go ahead. Second quarter, like you had something? You good? All right, no sweat. Read on.
Quran Khan, verse 17. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do and profane the Sabbath day?
There, man. So he's contending like, what are we doing, man? The gates of Jerusalem, they're open and they're doing business with these Hamites, man. What profane thing are you doing, man? Why? Because this is the rest day from our labor, our work, man. All of our business, man. And guess what? We was still working and doing our business on the one day the Lord said we should not, man. That's
He said he spoke to the nobles. Maybe
you set the mic, Phil.
Jeremiah speaking here.
It is Nehemiah right here.
Nehemiah, he said he went to the nobles, so he went to the mayors, the leaders. You got the mayor of Manchester and so forth. He went to the big men. So this wasn't no small individual one man selling a fish from his yard. It was a big thing. Like, how like the prime minister can shut down the businesses, or the prime minister got the power to check the tax and check the books and so forth. That's it was a big thing. That's why he went to the nobles, the big men.
That's right. And that's how you know that this law isn't directed at the worker, it's for the manager, because he didn't speak to them individually. He went to the people up there like, look, man, what are we doing on this day? We showed you that law is directed for managers, employers, the people up there, not just the worker. Reader.
Qur'an Khan, did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath.
So now he's reminding them that, listen, in the times past, the Lord brought evil upon us for profaning this day. And you can find that in the book of Jeremiah, where, he spoke against it, and then the Babylonians came. So that's what Nehemiah is referencing there. So he's saying, look, man, we've profaned this day in the past, and the Lord has brought evil upon us, and you're doing it now. Meaning what? We haven't learned. We haven't learned from what happened to us in the past. Read on.
Qur'an Khan. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gate should be shut and charged that they should not reopen. They should not be reopened till after the Sabbath.
There, man. So, for us to, have some form of righteousness, he commanded that the gates of Jerusalem should be shut, man, so that we couldn't leave that gate and do our business, man.
Right.
That's how much this man wanted us to keep the law, man. And something that General Muhammad always said, in life, someone has to fight to maintain righteousness.
Right.
People ain't just going to be righteous by their own will. People stay righteous because there's people that fight to keep righteousness, man.
That's right.
And that's what Nehemiah did, man. He didn't go, well, I'm going to be righteous, but everyone else, nah, man. He was a man that fought to keep righteousness in Jerusalem. And if it meant shutting the gates because he knew that we would do something unrighteous, then that's what he was willing to do, man. Read on.
So lucky, sir, if I could.
Right.
Yeah.
So lucky, it looked like Israel or Judah didn't fear the Most High. Is it right? Because they know they're not supposed to do it. They've already been disciplined from it before, but they're still buying and selling with the Africans. So it seems that way, doesn't it? That they're a bit hard-headed.
Well,
yes,
we are. No. And guess what? You are right, man. Absolutely. All throughout the Bible, what does it say about us? We are people that rebel. We are stiff-necked people, man. And imagine this. We was under the oppression of the Babylonians. We got back in the land, and already we're not fearing the Lord, man.
Right.
After all what we've been through, you would think, well, damn, let us keep the law. We're back in our land with the Persians and the Medes. They let us go. So we've returned to Jerusalem. Let's keep the law. And once we set everything up, we go back to sinning again, man.
Right.
Yes, so absolutely. We was not afraid of the Lord, else we wouldn't be doing our business on the sanctioned day of rest. Read on.
That's right. Come on. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day.
There, man, so many know a business on that day, man. And he had to set men on the gates to keep us righteous, man. Because
Right.
if he did not, them gates would be wide open, man. And everyone buying and selling, as they like to say, and doing all their business transactions. And this man had to fight to keep righteousness, man.
Right.
Reader.
So like you said, sorry.
Yeah.
So like if I could, I mean, if one person just went out and sold something on that day, that's why they put the guys in the gates, right? Then the whole of Israel would be punished for that, right?
That's right, man. One thing we don't understand is that, we are all one, man. So you can't think like an individual. Yeah, but I'ma do it. But what you do may affect everybody.
Right.
It may be the reason why someone else dies because you're thinking like an individual. So absolutely, man. For these men to keep righteousness, he knew that. Listen, I've got to set watchmen over this gate, man. I've got to set people over this gate so that we don't sin and that we all can live. Reader.
Khan. Verse 20. So the merchants and sellers of all kinds of ware lodged without Jerusalem.
All right. And I want to break this down with the buying and the selling. That's it right there. But if you notice, what's the word that was used there?
Merchants.
The merchants and the sellers. So now, does anyone know what a merchant is?
A tradesman. Right. Tradesman, right.
There, that lets you know it's not talking about you going in the shop and buying a Mars bar, man.
Right.
That's not buying and selling, man. You ain't no merchant. You mean what have you got? You got English money that is rolling around in the economy anyway, man. You know what I mean? A merchant, that's the buyer, and the sellers, man. People that were selling to the merchants, people that had business, people that had goods, and they were selling to those merchants. That's the buying and selling, not you with a £5 in your hand, man. A merchant, you know what I mean? He does business online, man, with millions and stocks and bonds and all kind of stuff. Not you with £5 in your wallet, man. That's not a merchant right there, man. No disrespect needed, but you know what I mean? That's not a merchant, man. That's
a merchant, a person or company involved in a person or company involved in wholesale trade.
In wholesale trade, man. Wholesale meaning you buy in bulk, not one Mars bar out of the pack, man. You do not in the shop. That's wholesaling.
Right.
You buying one out of the pack. Right. That's not wholesaling, man.
So like I say, you buy one Mars bar, but the man that dropped the Mars bars off in the shop, he was wholesaling. He sold.
He's the merchant, man.
He sold. You didn't buy a Mars bar. He bought Mars bars. The shopkeeper that bought bulk off the truck driver, he bought a Mars bar.
That's right.
You
man.
didn't buy a Mars bar. You consumed.
That's right, man. You know what I mean? You buy wholesale. We don't buy wholesale, man. You go in the shop, you're buying individual, man.
And plus, the shopkeeper bought the Mars bars off the truck driver and made money off it. You didn't make money off it when you bought yours, meaning you're not buying and selling.
You know what I mean? It's different. And once you understand the law and how it works, what we do is not breaking the law. We don't wholesale buy nothing, man. We individual buy one, and also two, the shopkeeper, he brought wholesale. The company he got that off, they're the merchants. You are not a merchant going in the shop. You are not a merchant, man. You going in the shop and buying something for £1, that's not a merchant, man. The shopkeeper, he's the merchant, man.
Right.
In the back, he's got supplies. You don't, man. You brought you know what I mean? I'm just using a Mars bar as just a flat example, man. Yeah.
Hey, you buy a Mars bar now, you're £5 down. He bought Mars bars and he's £10 up. Come on,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, he's rich. Why? Because he brought them wholesale and he's adding interest on them, man.
That's
He's
right.
doing business. You're not, man.
So
You
like,
buy nothing. That's not business. You mean he's doing business because he's making a profit of the Mars bar. You're not, man. It was on the shelf that price. You brought it for that price. He's got it wholesale and is selling it, making more, man. Stuck if someone has something.
so like the other one. Even in some cases, when you buy that Mars bar or whatever it is, you've got to pay extra tax, man. On top of
There
that.
you go.
So you're not.
So that's not business right there. You're paying VAT and all manner of things. That's not business. That shopkeeper, he's doing business, man. The company that he got the supplies of, that is business. You going in a shop, that is not business. That is consumption, man.
Right.
You are consuming from that shop. But that's the class. Anyone got anything before we finish?
Carter, I was just lucky at one. I was just gonna say, is there not? I mean, so many other camps out there are actually doing opposite to that, aren't they? They're
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it, sir.
On the day of rest, they're making it hard on themselves, man. Eating cold sandwiches, like, come on, man. You know what I mean? Where does work come into cold sandwiches, man? You know what I mean? And they're worshiping the day, man. And the day is for you, man. The day is for you. But with that, that's the class. I'm handing.
Yeah, like the Bible calls the Sabbath supposed to be delight. You're not gonna tell me you're enjoying Sabbath with no TV on in the court. Don't lie to me and say, "Nah, I enjoy it, man." You're lying to yourself, man. Like a day that you got no warm food in your belly, can't make a sandwich. You're not gonna tell me that's the delight, man.
There you go, man.
Can't. It's lucky if I could just add to that, sir. I know we got to go, but can I before I come into the I.S.U.P.K, that's what I did. That's why I'm laughing, because I tried to do the food beforehand, right? And I was dreading the Sabbath day until I heard Officer Dungabar explain it one day. I was like, oh my days, well, I can cook and all them things there. It was only when I come here into the truth that I really found out the truth about the Sabbath.
That's right, man. That's right, man. And you only learn it in here, man. Outside here, people are hurting themselves on this day, man. Oh, and Franco, if you hold that question for on the ends, and we'll answer that for you. Yeah. So we'll address that for you on the ends due to time's sake. And a Rogers as well, man. We see you in there, and we'll also handle yours on the ends from 9 o'clock till 11 tomorrow, man. So please, you know what I mean? If you don't want to forget, the best thing to do is to write it down and ask on the ends tomorrow from 9 till 11 p.m. All right.
Clap it up. Teacher one salute. Menavision, I madam Shabbat. I madam. Barak. Yahweh Hashem Yachamata. Star, please 10. Gotta give one care suit to the sisters. Menavision, I madam Shabbat. I madam Barak. Yahweh Shema Hashem Yachamata. And class dismissed.